Hello there, football fans, Nigerian football supporters. The Super Eagles managed to pull off a nil-nil draw against Ghana in the last stage of the qualifying round of matches to the 2022 World Cup. Uh, as much as Nigeria's expected a victory, a Ghana-Nigeria match is not always that easy a contest, especially in Nigeria from a Nigerian perspective. Well, I think the most concerning issue about the match yesterday was the performance of the Super Eagles. Um, it was very, very by all standards, it was a very, very poor performance by Nigeria Super Eagles. And I'm sure more than just the result. I mean, ordinarily an away draw is a good result in a two-legged affair, but I think more concerning was the poor performance of the Super Eagles, and that's where most Nigerians will be very, very disappointed. But there is reason. I suppose it was a poor performance, but there is reason for that. Number one being that any game against Ghana, any game between Nigeria and Ghana is a very, very difficult game. Whether a friendly match, it's a war. It's a Barcelona versus Real Madrid. It's a Manchester United versus Liverpool. It's a very serious and tough rivalry between the two countries, especially in recent times. So we were not going to have an easy game against the Black Stars of Ghana. It was never going to be an easy game. So I feel that a draw was a fair result. A draw was an encouraging result, despite the poor performance. Ghana would rather die than have lost that game yesterday. Ghana would rather die than lose to the Super Eagles in that game yesterday. More so, because the chances of qualifying for the World Cup was at stake, national pride was at stake, and the fact that they were playing at home. So it was going to be very difficult for the Super Eagles. So kudos to the Super Eagles, I will say, despite the not too impressive performance, but pulling a nil-nil draw away to Ghana was an encouraging result. Now, the performance of the Super Eagles once again highlighted some of the problems that we've been talking about over and over again with the Super Eagles. The poor midfield, number one, and the lack of leadership in that team. Those are two very core areas where the Super Eagles has struggled. I'll come back to that a little later. Now, on the basis of individual performances, Francis Uzoho started a goal, and for me, he was awesome. Many claim he was the man of the match. He did very, very well, and he buttressed the fact I have been saying that he ought to have been the number one goalkeeper at the Nations Cup. He ought to have been the first choice over Maduka Okoye, and he showed that in a very, very tough and difficult game away to Ghana yesterday. So kudos to Francis Uzoho once again. He deserves the number one shirt as far as I am concerned. I've always said that. The defense was okay. Defense had a pass mark, was fairly okay. But William Troost-Ekong was a shadow of himself. I don't understand. He's not had a lot of game time in Watford, and I can't say categorically that that's the reason for his poor football, because the Ghanaians just ran him ragged yesterday. For some reason, he just couldn't get a grasp on the game, and so we need to pay attention to little details like that and always have every other player at the ready. We should always try not to be over reliant on a certain player, because William Troost-Ekong always ever solid, but yesterday he could have cost us that game. He made a couple of mistakes here and there, and which Leon Balogun covered for him. So Ekong would have to want to forget that match in a hurry. Otherwise, the defense line was very good. We saw the debut of Calvin Bassey, very impressive in the couple of minutes he came on. I have to say, he really, really impressed, and it looks like Zaidu Sanusi will be getting serious competition for the left back role, by the time Calvin is fully integrated into that team, because he was very, very impressive. Defensively and offensively, you could see energy, you could see, strength. He was tenacious. He was just really awesome yesterday. So I'm very impressed by Calvin Bass, and that's another addition, a big plus to the Super Eagles defense line. In the midfield, which is a very, very core area, like I had said, the absence of Ndidi even made it worse for us, because that midfield seems to struggle. Defensive, the midfield is a bit okay, but it seems to struggle to get a hold on the game, to create, for the attacking department. Ndidi's absence made it even worse, So we had Innocent Bonke starting with Joe Aribo. Aribo did well, I must say. Aribo really impressed me yesterday. He did. But we still had struggle a little, because Innocent Bonke doesn't have the influence, doesn't have the presence that Wilfred Ndidi has. Unfortunately, Ndidi will not also be playing the second leg, so um, we'll see how that goes. But I was happy that for all the criticism, for all the uncertainty, Ogene Karetebo was able to come in and have a very serious impact. He came in and stabilized that midfield in the second half. So that is something to look for. That's something encouraging, in the absence of Wilfred Ndidi. So Etebo, I believe, should start the next game because he was monumental when he came on. He exceeded expectations. Everybody felt after such a long injury layoff, nobody saw Etebo coming in and perform the way he did against Ghana yesterday. So I really, really commend Ogenekare Etebo for coming to our rescue because that midfield could have collapsed because the players tired out at some point. So and then kudos to the to the coaches for being able to manage that midfield properly. But there's still a lot of work to be done because the Super Eagles midfield still lacks a creative player, still lacks a creative force, still lacks a dictator, somebody who can, get a hold on the game and dictate the play. Austin Okocha used to do it, Bikelobi used to do it. You don't need to have type for like players, you just need to have players with a particular skill set, which is lacking in that team. I really so wish Eberechi Eze would, accept to change allegiance and play for Nigeria because that I feel is the missing puzzle of the Super Eagles midfield. Eberechi Eze would change the Super Eagles very easily. Samuel Chukwueze once again below par. He shouldn't be starting anymore. I had said this as at the Nations Cup. There's no reason to start him. He's a wonderful talent. He's still there. He's got years ahead of him, but on current form, Samuel Chukwueze is not. He's a minus to the Super Eagles on that right side. Moses Simon has also been found out. Those are the two outlets Guavon is hoping to build something up front from, and every other team knows. Every other team has found that out. So they're always closing on those two players, and once that is done, the attack is more or less toothless because the midfield is not supplying and the flanks are not supplying. Once you clamp the flanks, then the midfield can't do much because there's no creative force. So Kelechi Iheanacho was roundly criticized yesterday, but he was playing in that hole. He could do next to nothing because it's the same thing. He's not a number 10. He's not a natural creative midfielder. He can try to do that, right? But where you have two other guys sitting, there's too much of a space there for Kelechi Iheanacho to operate. So he will always be outnumbered. He'll always be outmuscled in that role. So Chukwueze and Simon have been found out by every opposing team. The coaches need to find an alternative route to go. They need to come up with something more creative, either by juggling the system or switching players. Something has to give. There has to be something done about that because if the coaches want to still go back with Simon and Chukwueze on the flanks, it's not just working. Simon had an excellent first two games at the Nations Cup, and everybody saw that. And he was clamped down against Tunisia, and we lost. So we can't keep going out with the same strategy, which is already public knowledge. It won't work. Kelechi Iheanacho again and Victor Osimhen need support from the flank or from the midfield to get the job done up front. They keep chasing. Osimhen, for one, just keeps chasing all the balls down, trying to haggle defenders and so on. It's not convenient for him. He's a finisher. He's a poacher. Just get the ball to him. He'll put it at the back of the net. If you're going to have to stress him extra to, terrorize the defense, disturb the defense line, that's going to sap a lot of his energy too. But you make the job easier for him by having a formation, a system, or players around him who will create for he and Kelechi Iheanacho. And we will score goals. It's as easy as that. So for the next leg, our fate, going to the World Cup, our World Cup tickets depends on what Austin Eguavoen and Amunike can learn from the game last night and maximize the talent available, because it's too late to bring in any other alternative players. It's too late to bring in certain players. All right, so you have a unit. It is now about how the coaches can come up with the best possible tactic to get the results back home when the Ghanaians come visiting on Tuesday. So something has to be done tactically for this team to excel. This team can beat Ghana. this team can beat Ghana. I wouldn't say easily, but this team has the manpower to be able to defeat Ghana and get the ticket to the World Cup. But there's a lot of work to be done tactically to make up for the lack of quality. Now, Super Eagles, I have say it any day, anytime. We have a wonderful bunch of players who could go on to be really, really great. But as it stands, these guys are not yet there. A few of them potentially: Kelechi Iheanacho, Victor Osimhen, Wilfred Ndidi, a handful, Moses Simon, but the larger majority is still not up to par. How do I make this evaluation? Which current player in the Super Eagles would walk into the Olympic team or the 1994 Super Eagles team? Next to no one. Maybe from a goalkeeping point of view, I mean, yeah, there was Peter Rufai, there was Joseph Dosso at the time. So Uzoho, okay, well, at least they could give those two guys, a fight. But in every other department, there is a drop in quality in the Super Eagles. So there's a lot more work the coaches have to do to get this team to perform optimally. And so a lot of this will depend on what coaches Austin Eguavon and Emmanuel Munike can do, with this team in the next couple of days leading up to the second leg of the final World Cup qualifier. So we wish the Super Eagles luck, we wish the coaches luck, but some work has to be done very, very tactically. Now you have Ademola Lookman in the team. Now you have Akinwumi Amao. There's something there. There's something in that. There's something he has, that no other player in that team has. So that could be leveraged. That could be utilized in some formation. There's always a tweak. So it's back to the coaches to bring their tactical acumen to bear and prove that yes, they're worthy of that role. So we look forward to Tuesday when the Ghanaians Black Stars come visiting, and we hope the Super Eagles will do us proud as we hopefully will get the ticket. I'm sure we'll get the ticket to the 2022 World Cup. So I'll see you again after the game on Tuesday. But please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll do this again on Tuesday. Bye.